Here is a moment almost every business owner and manager dreads. You have a long document, a quarterly report, a research write-up, 20 pages of meeting minutes, and by Thursday you have to stand up and present it, maybe to your board, a client, or your team. So you open it, scroll through it again, and try to work out what matters, what to cut, and how to turn dense paragraphs into slides people will follow. It is slow and dull, and you end up the night before copying paragraphs onto slides, which is exactly what makes a presentation boring. Today I want to show you a faster way. Not paying someone to build your deck, and not reading the report aloud off the screen, but using an AI assistant to turn a long document into a clean, slide-by-slide presentation outline. So you spend your time refining a draft instead of building from a blank page. One honest note first. This is practical education, not magic, and the AI never presents for you or invents your numbers. It drafts the structure and the words. You check every figure against the source, and you deliver it. Keep that rule in mind and this becomes genuinely useful. The wall of text. Let us start with where most people are stuck and call it level 0. Turning a report into a talk here comes in two flavors, and both fail your audience. The first is the copy-paste deck. You lift whole paragraphs out of the document onto slides, so you have 20 slides crammed with text nobody can read while you talk. You end up reading your slides aloud and the room tunes out. The second flavor is worse. You are so short on time you barely prepare. You flick through the document live hunting for the point, and it rambles with no shape, neither lands. One buries your message under walls of text, the other never finds the message at all, and both waste your one chance to make the report mean something in the room. There is a middle path and it is level 1. Before we touch any tool, get clear on what a good presentation needs, because an assistant is only as good as the brief you give it. A deck that works stands on 3 things. First, the audience, who is in the room and what they already know, because a board, a team, and a client each need a different version. Second, the key message, the one thing you want them to remember and the action you want them to take. Third, the structure, a logical flow from a title, through a few clear sections to a strong close. Audience, message, and structure. Give an assistant those 3, plus the document itself, and it can shape your report into a talk. Leave them out and you get a generic summary. That is the brief you hand the AI. Brief it on your audience. Here is the shift that makes this work. You do not paste the report into an AI and say make me a deck, because a bare request gives you a flat summary that fits nobody. Instead, you brief it the way you would brief a colleague building the deck for you. You give it the document, you name the audience, and you state the message like this. Here is our quarterly report. I am presenting to the board. They care about cash flow and growth, not the day-to-day. And the message is that we are on track and need sign-off for one new hire. Then you ask for a slide-by-slide outline. You bring the things only you know, who is listening, and what you need from them. It brings the speed, reading 20 pages and shaping them into a flow in seconds. That trade is the whole game. Now the actual workflow, the part you can copy, because once you run it a few times it becomes second nature. It is 5 steps. Step 1, hand over the source, the report, the document or the minutes, whatever you are presenting. Step 2, brief the AI on your audience and your key message so it knows who is listening and what you need them to do. Step 3, ask for a slide-by-slide outline, a title slide, section slides with 3 or 4 tight bullets each, a suggested visual or speaker note per slide, and a strong closing slide with your call to action. Step 4, and this step never gets skipped, you refine. You check every number and claim against the source, cut whatever the AI over-explains, and make the words your real talking points. Step 5, drop the approved outline into your slide tool. Hand over, brief, outline, refine, and build. That whole loop turns an evening of dread into about 20 minutes. Blending the report start to finish. Let me make that concrete with a made-up example. Picture the owner of a small agency we will call Rina. Rina is a stand-in for a lot of owners I speak to. She has a 20-page quarterly report full of tables, and on Friday she has 10 minutes in front of her board. Normally, she would spend Thursday night wrestling it into slides. Instead, she hands the report to her AI assistant and briefs it. The audience is the board. They care about revenue, cash, and the plan for next quarter. and her message is that growth is steady and she wants approval for one new hire. She asks for a 10-slide outline. Back it comes. A title slide, the quarter's headline numbers, 2 on what drove them, 1 on cash, 1 on risks, a couple on the plan ahead, and a closing slide that asks plainly for the new hire. Each has 3 or 4 bullets and a note on what chart to show. Rina checks the revenue figure against the report, fixes one the AI rounded wrong, cuts a slide that over-explained, and moves it into her slide tool. What used to eat an evening took 20 minutes. That is level 1. Reading versus presenting. Now let me name the real difference this makes, because it is not only about saving time, it is about whether your report actually lands. Level 0 is reading. You either bury the room in dense slides you read aloud, or you flick through a document live with no shape, and either way your audience works hard to find a point you never made clear. Level 1 is presenting. You start from a structured outline built around one message for one audience, with a clear flow and a real ask at the end, so the room follows you and remembers the point. Your job shrinks from building a deck out of nothing to refining a strong draft. You stay in control of every slide. The work goes from reading a report at people to actually presenting it to them. And that shift is what makes the meeting worth having. You refine before you present. This part is not optional, and I want to be direct. The AI drafts, but you decide, and that line never moves. Check every number, because an assistant can round a figure wrong or state a total that is not in your report. And a wrong number in front of your board is the fastest way to lose their trust. Check every claim too, because it can overstate what the document says, turning a modest result into a promise you cannot keep. Then cut what it over-explains, because AI outlines tend to pad, and the tight talk beats a thorough one, and make the words yours, not phrasing you would never say aloud. Checking an outline against your own report takes minutes, while building the deck from scratch took your whole evening. The AI shapes the structure. You guard the facts and the message. What this buys you. So what do you actually get out of this? 3 things. First, you get your evening back, because the report that used to cost you a night of copy-pasting becomes a 20-minute refine. Second, you get a clearer talk, because starting from a structured outline with one message forces the focus that dense slides destroy, so your audience actually follows you. Third, you get consistency, because every deck you build this way has a title, a clean flow, and a real closing ask. You are not handing your judgment to a robot. You are just refusing to let deck building eat your evenings and using a tool that makes a clear presentation cheap enough to prepare properly every time. Foam, a simple way to start. If you want to try this, here is the low-effort way to begin, and it is smaller than you think. Do not wait for your biggest presentation. Take the next report you have to present, hand it to your AI assistant, and tell it in a sentence or 2 who your audience is and the one thing you want them to do. Ask for a slide-by-slide outline with a few bullets per slide and a closing ask. Read what it gives you, check the numbers against the source, cut the padding, and move it into your slides. That is it. One report turned into a talk the new way. You'll feel how much faster a real structure appears and why the checking step matters when you catch a number it rounded wrong. Run it once, and the next time a presentation lands on you, reaching for this will feel natural instead of a lost evening. The honest limits. And because I promised no hype, here are the honest limits. An AI does not truly understand your numbers. It only pattern matches the text, so it can misread a table or state a figure with total confidence that is simply wrong, which is why every number gets checked against the source. It does not know what your board argued about last quarter, so it can miss the context that makes a slide land or a topic sensitive. It tends to be wordy, so it will pad slides and soften your real ask unless you cut it back to the point. And a long document may hold confidential things, so keep it in tools you trust and share only what the room should see. Use the assistant to structure and draft, and keep the numbers, the message, and the final slides in your hands. Do that, and it earns its place. Skip that, and you have just presented a confident slide of the wrong figure. Quick recap. Let me pull it together. Level 0 is turning a report into a talk by copy-pasting walls of text onto slides, or flicking through the document live with no shape, and either way your message is lost. Level 1 is briefing an AI assistant on your audience and your key message, handing it the document and letting it draft a slide-by-slide outline with tight bullets, suggested visuals, and a strong closing ask, while you refine and build. The workflow is 5 steps. Hand over the source, brief it on audience and message, get the slide outline, refine every number and cut the padding, and drop it into your slide tool. You always check the figures against the source, you cut what it over-explains, and you keep your real talking points. Your evening back, a clearer talk, and a report that finally lands. If a long report keeps turning into a lost evening of deck building, this is the workflow that hands you a clear presentation to refine instead of a blank page to fill. And we made a free, step-by-step course that walks you from level 0 to level 1 in plain language. No jargon and no technical background needed. It shows you how to get an AI assistant onto your own computer and working with your real documents, so you can try this on your own next report instead of taking my word for it. Head to aafirstasia.com/level1 and take the free course. Do it once, turn one real report into a talk the new way, and feel the difference for yourself. And if you want more of this, practical AI workflows built for SME owners, honest and no hype, then subscribe. Level 1 is right there. Go take the step.